as it comes to TikTok, UMG.
Yeah.
I'd just love to know your thoughts on that and where that's at right now.
I think it's probably one of the most important, is a pivotal moment in the music industry.
Yeah.
I think with UMG being the largest music company and with the most influence over these partners, this historically the music industry has given away our content for cheap,
Very.
compared to the value of the companies that we're helping create.
Yeah.
And I feel like leadership in the music industry hadn't been as responsible as founders of companies. Like, so when you look at a founder or you look at, the companies that are on the other side of these, they're looking at how do they maximize, shareholder value, essentially.
Yeah.
And when you look at the music companies, they haven't looked at how to maximize the real shareholder value, and those shareholders are the artists at the end of the day. And so if we're helping to build, we're helping to make billionaires off of our content by giving them these licenses. And the thing with TikTok is is an incredibly powerful platform. And when I look at their sort of response to the negotiation about being promotional value, that's not the right response to have, in terms of with this negotiation, because we're not looking for promotional value. We're looking for financial value as well as the promotional value, because artists are providing promotional value, by providing their content and bringing fans to the platform and all of those things. So, we're in this relationship where I don't think TikTok necessarily needs the music industry. I don't know if the music industry necessarily needs TikTok. It's a great vehicle to have because we've turned the keys over to TikTok, essentially. And TikTok, they're gonna find a way for music, but my kids aren't gonna leave TikTok because UMG's catalog isn't on it. Creators aren't gonna leave TikTok because UMG's catalog isn't on it. So we're gonna have to find this compromise between TikTok and the music industry. And with that being said, that's pretty much all technology companies that license music. We gotta find relationships, and we gotta find a symbiotic relationship that's beneficial for both sides, essentially.
What's at the root of it?
Money.
Yeah, for sure. But there's the pool that you were mentioning.
Oh yeah, so right now I think that the problem is I think the biggest problem is AI is going to have a huge impact across the world on everything. And when it comes to music creation, we'll be at a point within the next 18 months where creating really, really great music is going to be easy as creating a great photo on Instagram, just with a couple filters. The same way it used to have to be a really dope photographer to take pictures. Instagram, hit a couple buttons, you gotta
change it. Yeah, phone
changes everything. It's gonna be the same exact thing with music. So it's like, so if you're posting on TikTok or posting on Instagram or whatever platform, and you want a song to express whatever video you made or photo that you posted, you'll be able to create your own that is specific to your thing, but that sounds incredibly well. It's like a really great song. So other people can use that song, and if they're inspired by it or whatever. And just like Instagram that has all rights to your photos that you upload, these platforms will have all rights to the music that you create on these platforms, meaning that these platforms won't have to pay for music.
Yeah.
But they're trying to put that music all into one pool now. So it's like anything, any AI creation or whatever, all of that is in the same royalty pool, music pool as everything else. So now all of a sudden, if creators on the AI side say we want XYZ, they participate the same exact way as a Drake, as a Travis, as whoever else is creating content on those platforms.
Wow. which is it's kind of interesting because artists are also competing for public attention with creators.
Yes.
So now not only are you competing with them in a public forum, but also when it comes to royalties and monetizing.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be at this sort of intersection of this war between synthetic artists and real artists. And people won't be able to differentiate, like consumers won't be able to tell, is this a synthetic artist or if this is a real artist?
I think as time goes by, I think consumers won't even care.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's happening already.
Absolutely. Without a question.
Yeah.
Without a question.
So, I mean, last time we spoke, the AI conversation was very in its infancy. And for those who don't know, Troy spent a lot of time at Silicon Valley. You were going there with 2 or 3 times a week, just kind of understanding how that works and seeing, oh, this is a whole different relationship to business than we have in the music business. So you're well versed in that. Early investor in Uber, I believe, early investor in Spotify. Now we see AI. So you have a really good lens on what this looks like. And you spoke a little bit about it, but now a little bit more, how do you see AI really starting to, where do you see AI going in the next 5 years maybe? Hard to say, but.
Because 5 years is going to be the equivalent of 50 years because this is moving so fast. It's moving so fast. And, just what we're seeing already within our sort of everyday lives, one, it changes workflow forever.
Yeah.
I think engineering was sort of the first thing where we saw with Copilot on the engineering side, it makes writing code so much easier. And so like the fact that now, you don't have to, go to MIT or Stanford or Georgia Tech, wherever these places are to learn how to write code. You could literally go to ChatGPT and write code and it checks your code for you. But workflow is going to be amazing. We've experimented with AI agents, for instance, where I feel like it's going to replace, not in the beginning it won't replace, but it's going to make like the job of road managers, tour managers, like anybody who has to do any level of logistical planning is going to make their lives incredibly easier. So when you can route tours and it tells you exactly how the tour needs to be routed, from venue capacity to travel to fuel consumption to hotels to airline tickets, where it could book everything for you. Is like insanity. Yeah, it's gonna go to this place of like just this. You put in the inputs and it spits out these outputs, immediately. Right. So what is that going to do for booking agents? Right. When you think about the job of booking agents and things like that, I think they're going to have to rethink how they work and how they look at their jobs. You look at even with managers, is gonna change the way a manager works, and because an artist will have a co-manager right at their side at all times, just with a bot. So it's like
it's your day-to-day AI.
Every day, anything that you want to know, you're going like this, and you're finding out instantly. So from your royalties, your scheduling, your things you should be doing, marketing is it's going to change all of these roles or whatever. So how we adapt as an industry and just as humans in general, the role that AI and robotics are going to play over the next decade is going to look like we're in a futuristic movie, but it happens in a way where it doesn't feel jolting. Right. Like it doesn't feel jolting.
Yeah. In present day, what does that tech stack look like? What are some tools do you think managers can use to their advantage to optimize their business?
OpenAI. Yeah. OpenAI, because it's super easy to use. Everybody's building on OpenAI, and so I think that's a good starting point. And then there's people in terms of actually learning it. Mm-hmm. It will tell you how to learn it.
Yeah,
You ask the questions, it will tell you how to learn it. And the rate of speed that, when you look at when they first launched it to even where it is now, it's nowhere near where it's going to be now. But it is the leaps from V1 to where we are now is like crazy. So I can't imagine where this
4.5
thing's.
is-
It's gonna.
And
it's
to be
gonna
clear, you're not
crazy.
talking about just ChatGPT. You're talking about OpenAI.
OpenAI, ChatGPT,
Yeah. Okay, so both of those. When you were at Spotify, you were talking to a lot of managers, having them understand the benefits of Spotify. You mentioned you went and spoke to a few managers to show them how to get to the money. How do you get to the money in 2024?
There's so many paths to the money in 2024.
What are a couple of, yeah.
I think that being independent is Joe Budden said something to me. Me and him were in a conversation. I think it was like a Twitter rooms conversation, and he made this statement because he had left Spotify to do his own his thing on Patreon.
You're right.
And he said, Troy, I optimize for optionality. And I paused. I said, hold on. I said, you got to break that down. And basically what he was saying is like he negotiates for the future. And so that stuck with me in a way where I'm like, LeBron James does the same thing. So it's like when you're doing those short-term deals where it's like, okay, my deal's up in 2 years. Let me see where we are in 2 years. So with LeBron, when he was negotiating, looking at, okay, the collective bargaining agreement is going to change. TV rights are going to change. All of these things are going to change. So it's going to be more money when that changes. I'm going to bet on myself that I'm going to be healthy, that I'm still going to be LeBron James. And so when this short-term contract is up, I can get a lot more money than if I was to do this longer-term contract because the options are going to be different.
And you get to see the lay of land where it's
at. You
at.
get to see the lay of the land.
Yeah.
Independent music is the same thing. So it's like, so if you own your rights or you control your rights and can do whatever you want with those rights, there's going to be so many options that open up in the future. So it's like, I would be trying to figure out, how do I own publishing? How do I own masters? How do I have a significant amount of equity in any brand deals that I do? So everything would be about long-term to get to the money. So it's like, so it's not, because you're not going to get to the money really by taking, unless you're a hell of an investor and plan on making outside investments. But if you go and you do a deal with XYZ label, and let's say you take $3 million right now, right? By the time the artist is done, they'll probably net $1.2 million, 1.2 million dollars when it's all said and done. And my guess is they're gonna wanna buy shit. So it's not like they're gonna take that and just invest it. So if $1.1 million is supposed to last you X amount of time, or if that ties your options up for, let's say, 3 or 4 albums, you could have made that $1.1 million off of one independent project if you're taking that bet on this. If you're taking the same bet on yourself that the label's taking on you for a very calculated reason. They're not just doing it because you're talented. They're doing it because they ran the numbers and they know you can make whatever they're giving you. They know you can make it.
You can make that back. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter when it is. So you believe that in the future, IP catalogs going to be incredible.
100%. 100%. Like ownership will never go out of style. It'll never go out of style.
Even though with the pool of AI and all that coming into play?
Doesn't matter because you own it. So it's direct revenues. So it's like, so even if the pie is, no matter how the pie gets divided from DSPs or technology partners, the difference is if I own it, I'm getting the lion's share of it versus a label owning it and they're negotiating it and then they're giving me the
little
pennies or whatever, and they're negotiating
Literally.
the way that they want to negotiate, that they get the best deals for themselves. They're not worried about your specific share.
right.
So it's like, so when you can negotiate your rights, or at least be able to negotiate alongside of a pool of rights that have the same interest alignment as you, then that's when I feel like, you know, you got a better path to higher revenue.
And is that something that you encourage artist managers to also participate in?
Absolutely. Even if it's, whether it's with your artists or whether it's, you know, finding ways to do it even outside of your artists where you can make those kind of bets on IP. This is like, with managers, because it's a service job, you get sort of, you become reliant on the artist essentially. And especially if you're focused around one artist or one or two artists, all your revenue is tied to those specific artists.
Yeah.
So at any given point, if you're not connected to those artists, those revenue streams go away. So if I co-found a company, I got equity in that company. So whether or not I'm with that company anymore, my equity still stands unless somebody buys the equity or whatever. So I think it's kind of sort of treating it the same way and making sure there's some level of ownership. And I feel like it for smart artists, they'll understand how the model works. So I feel like the entertainment lawyers might, honestly, I think a lot of them are behind the curve on this.
Man. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of them are behind the curve. But I feel like, I look at some of the most successful artists in the music industry and how their businesses are structured, and they're not structured like normal artists. They're not structured like that. They build infrastructure around them.